Plumbing emergency, holiday problems. What have you got? I want to make sure you stay around till the end because I'm going to tell you 3 things that you need to do before the holidays to make sure that you don't have these problems. But let's talk about plumbing emergencies. Do you want to put yourself in a position where you have to call a plumber out on Thanksgiving weekend, maybe the Friday after, or even Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? Let me tell you what, plumbers don't want to get called out as much as you don't want to have to call them. Most plumbing companies have very high emergency fees. If you've got to call a plumber or a plumbing professional on those days, let me tell you what, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Now, emergencies are not something you want to have. Plumbing emergencies get expensive. If you can do a few things beforehand to take care of them, that'll help you out. Now think about it. The last thing that you want while you're in the middle of your Thanksgiving dinner is to have a stopped up toilet. Maybe the toilet's overflowing. How bad can it really be? Let me tell you what, I've seen it. It can get bad. What if the water heater ruptures? I've seen water heaters in an attic rupture the day before Thanksgiving. I saw a family have to move their entire Thanksgiving to Trulux. Let me tell you what, I've been to Trulux on Thanksgiving. It's pretty dadgum good. But when you're feeding 40 people, that's going to be a heck of a check. So make sure that you do things in advance to make sure that you don't have problems. Again, I'm going to tell you more about those later. So let me teach you some tips and tricks. If you've got a plumbing emergency, say your sewer's backed up to your entire house, do you know that you can go outside to your cleanouts, take the gem caps off or the PVC plugs out and see if it's backed up all the way to there? Now, first of all, be very careful. And here's why. If that entire sewer is backed up and it's backed up to where your toilets, showers, tubs, anything like that is holding water, there's going to be a lot of pressure there. If you've got the black rubber gem cap, look at the gem cap and see if it's bulging. If you can press on it and it presses back up, think about this before you unscrew it. Because as you unscrew it, that's going to fly up. And literally, I have seen water come spraying up out of there. Guys, that's raw sewage. Not just yours, but anybody else who's used the plumbing in your house. So be very careful. That's a problem that you don't want to have. Now, if you have an emergency problem, say your water heater starts leaking. Now, you may not realize it until you look up and you see water dripping out of the ceiling. Or maybe it's in the garage and you walk out to the garage to the refrigerator and you realize you've got water on the floor. What can you do? First thing I would recommend would be shutting off the valve to the water heater, hooking up a water hose and draining it. You don't want that water heater to rupture and actually flood the house. If it's a gas water heater, make sure you turn off the gas valve. If it's an electric water heater, make sure you turn off the breaker. You don't want to drain it out and let it keep heating up. That's not going to be good. Plumbing emergencies happen. It can be anything. It can be a broken toilet. It can be a faucet. It can be anything. Know how to shut the water off to your house and even how to shut the water off underneath. Most of the sinks and toilets have an angle valve. Now, most of them, you just turn it to the right until it stops. That'll shut off the water. Some of them are quarter turn valves. Now, if this is a valve that you have not done anything with in a long time, it may be tight, it may be stuck, the rubber may be dissolved. There's a lot of things that could happen, but you want to do everything you can to shut the water off. Now, think about it. If a plumbing company is going to charge you $300, $400, $500 to come out for an emergency fee, is it worth it? I want you to think about it. If you have to shut your water off and not call a plumber till Friday the next day, which for some companies is not a holiday, it's going to be a lot cheaper. So think about how important and how valuable it is to have that plumber come out on a holiday. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of companies out there that will come out. So let me give you some tips and tricks now. Things that I want you to think about before the holidays. Do you have any toilets that are gurgling? Do you have a shower or tub that when you drain it, it drains real slow? And when you flush the toilet, you hear it gurgling? That's a sign that you've got a blockage in there somewhere. Another thing to look for is your water heater. Go up and check it out. Does your water heater set in a drain pan? Look and see if there's any water. See if there's any rust around it, anything like that. And guys, you don't have to, but I'm just trying to tell you, these are things that I would think about before I had a lot of people over for a holiday. And know where your cleanouts are. Do you know how to get the lid off your cleanouts? Is it a threaded plug? Is it a gem cap? Do you need a screwdriver? Do you need a big pair of channel locks? What do you need to make this plumbing emergency go away? Calling a licensed professional plumber can get very expensive. So knowing little things like this can help save you a lot of money. And one of my number one tips always, do you know how to turn the water off to your house? And maybe you do. Does your wife? Do your children? Does someone else know how to turn off the water in case you're not there? I'll tell you what, it was funny. I'll tell you a story. I went to New Jersey and I met with some people. I had won a contest where they named me the next expert plumber. When I went to meet these ladies and sat down and have lunch with them, they all told me, said, Roger, before we saw your video, we didn't know how to turn the water off to our houses. Now, every one of us know how. And I thought that was pretty neat because here I was with 6 ladies that all knew how to go home and turn the water off to their house in case they had an emergency. Why is that important? What if your water heater is in your attic? And what if it floods or ruptures? All that water is not just going to go right straight down. And just because it's in a drain pan, don't think every bit of it's going to go out that drain. Have you checked your drain lately? Those things get old and corroded and tend to lock up. There's a lot of different things that could be a problem. But when I say that water doesn't go straight down, it's going to go down, it's going to overflow, it's going to run as far as it can and then go down. And as it gets down lower and keeps getting more and more water, it's going to keep spreading further out. I literally went on a job yesterday to look at a toilet for a lady. She had a flood and it cost her $100,000. This was a very nice townhouse, but she had been out of her unit for 6 months while they rebuilt it. $100,000 repair, 6 months out of the house, and she said her insurance company paid her $5,000. Guys, be careful and think about the plumbing emergencies that you have that you could avoid. So, do you know how to get the cleanouts off? Do you know how to shut off your water heater? And do you know how to turn off the water to your entire house if you have to? For another video we're working on, if you're having family over for the holidays, do me a favor. Let me know how many people you've got coming and what you're having for dinner. We're wanting to find out what all's going down your garbage disposal. Which leads me to another tip. Do you know how to unclog your garbage disposal if it gets stopped up? Because I've got a video about that will help you out a lot. Guys, I really hope you don't have any plumbing emergencies this holiday season, but if you do, I hope you know now what you can do. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know, have you ever had a plumbing emergency on a holiday or maybe just on a weekend or in the middle of the night? What did you do? Were you able to help get rid of the problem for a little bit, or did you have to call a plumber out in an emergency situation? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. I'm interested. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber, and I'll see you on the next video if you don't get flushed.